Justin Wiseman, The Confession. Go to my playlist on YouTube and literally look up Justin's videos. So Justin was my almighty rival since junior high who fell off my freshman year, and literally because he had a really good head start, but he went overboard because he acted brand new too much because when we were young we used to do everything together. And funny enough, when I get to my new school at a different district, there's another Justin that's really weak, really lame, but still has his own character, still has a great moral compass, but it's really the definition of why this generation fell. This Justin is the reason why I had so much hope for people, or why people have to learn how to adapt, why people have to learn that it's a cruel world out there, but it's not as cool as you think. Why do women hold men to such ridiculous standards? It's the same reason why we have this guy named Justin Wiseman. Pretty cool, huh? Like, pretty good name, right? He was an okay dude. He never really started shit with me, but there were times where I didn't know how I was affecting Justin. This is how I actually affected Justin Wiseman and Lily. My position where I became freshman year, the real reason why I radicalized together, the real reason why it all had to end was because it just wasn't fair. Justin literally explains why life isn't fair. This is a very cruel video because I did something that nobody outlawed me that I did, and it lingered on for years, and I realized it was all because of Justin. I couldn't adapt to high school, I couldn't develop in high school, all because of what I did to somebody, what I did to people, how I broke the stereotype. And literally, this is the story of Justin Wiseman. So I meet him when I'm trying to do football, and life comes in very different contexts. Life really, you can be good at one thing, you can suck at another thing, but when people put you to the test and you stand up to it, they will literally hold you to that one thing in order to remain in their comfort zone. And that's why I had to deal with a lot, and that's not really a good thing. But for this video, it's gonna be a beautiful thing, because what you gotta realize is the real reason why they kept on making excuses for me is the same reason why they fell in real life. Because what happened was I went to football, and Ben convinced me to be on football, and he's like, man, if you're on the team, you can smack somebody. And so my brothers kept on shoving shit down my throat, saying, man, if you play sports, you get all the cheerleaders. Oh, this, that. My older brother saying, well, maybe after I get rejected, well, maybe if you want to play a sport, she would say yes. And that really isn't relevant, because Mr. Pledger drove me to the side. He's saying, she's like, you know what? They're all in sports. You've never been playing sports your whole life, and she's still gonna like you. And then I realized when I got older, after I actually learned from my brothers, I learned that sports doesn't change when you get older. If you hold on to your reputation of being a school jock, you will suffer and you will get no lower. I've seen it for myself. So literally, my brother tried to talk to Ben. He's like, man, the family's trying to get him to play a sport. And so all of a sudden, one little nigga throws him to the side, and he thinks that he can play a sport. This and that. And that is where he is weighing over his head because of that. Ben made it appealing for me to play a sport. He spoke my own language. He put it in an anime style. Well, you get to play football, you get to smack somebody instead of all this stupid ass manipulation shit. And it's the same way Ben drove me in by giving me something I like. It's the same way you get girl, but you have to do that with good intention. You have to make sure that she actually cares. I'm sorry, but this is the whole point of the video. Ben convinced me to do something I never wanted to do because he put it in a context that I literally was proud to be hooked at. What you have to do is that you have to hook the girl with that attention grabber, but you have to have a good intention. You can't hook her for the fact of manipulating her. You have to hook her for the point of saying like, yo, this is what my lifestyle holds, this is what else holds my lifestyle, but you have to have an attention grabber because you're dealing with competition. That's the only reason. And that is what makes it full of shit. But once you get past that, when you work hard, you only have to do a little bit of things that you may think is full of shit. But once you see things from her perspective, once everything goes your way like a girl, you understand why girls are so judgmental. You can't shun people like Lily. You can't expect people to play sports when you try to say what they're doing is shit. Like my brother tried to say that Lily, my anime is literally the reason why I'm fucking gay, why I'm this and that, because I don't feel for other people's fucking feelings and this and that. Like literally fucking, and I'm gonna make another anime quote at the end of this video to the reason why Justin's mentality felt that Justin is a very good guy, but where it comes to this context, this is really horrible. So I I met him at the football team in the online debate after even I beat Rockstar. So Rockstar was first string. We don't know how football works. If you're third string, you're ass. If you're second string, that Lily, you're basically like backup cannon. But Lily, first string is Lily, who gets the girls, this and that. So Lily freaking when football practice comes, I'm playing with Ralph. If you haven't watched Ralph versus Eric, go watch season 2. Lily fucking Ralph and Eric. Lily fucking Ralph was on the football team, and they kept on criticizing me because I adapted. I was one of the most popular dancers, but you know, when it came to playing football, I was getting into miscellaneous conversations, literally fucking jerking myself off in front of other people. Metaphorically, if you don't know what that means I was acting like I was shit in front of other people. So basically, fucking like, you know, I had the reputation going on. I didn't need to be good at football because I had the dancing to fall back on, and I had all the bitches to fall back on. I had fucking Kevin Tran, who was also playing football. If you don't know who Kevin Tran is, go back to season 1. So, you know, Kevin Tran was also a turf dancer, but he was really first string in football. But it was my first year playing, and I was pretty good where it came to like adapting, but I didn't want to adapt. I just wanted to like fit in. I'm like, you know, when do I get the snack somebody? He's like, no, Ernest, you gotta carry the ball over the field, you gotta do this and that. I'm like, fuck that, I'd rather smack somebody. And like, literally, so I square up with Ralph in the football pads, and Ralph literally goes all out 100%. What he does is literally, if we were to stay in the same position, we try to tackle each other, and we literally are stuck, frozen like a fucking anime. Justin is coming because Justin says it's really funny ass shit doing football practice, but let me give you this example of why Ralph and Justin failed. Because Ralph, Justin, everybody else knew each other ever since they were little kids, and I didn't because I went to a different school district. So Justin knew Ralph, Justin knew Kayla, Justin knew Oscar. Everybody going in, he's known at least since elementary school, or you know, a junior high elementary school understanding. So it was really out there. So what Ralph does is literally, when we're evenly matched, what he does is he puts his arms and he grabs my triceps and he moves his hip, and he actually moves me a different way. But if it was a real fight, Ralph knew because I was one of the best fighters in school, it would be a different context. And that's why I won in life. What's more important than your precious ass game is literally why I won in real life. You have to understand that literally fucking Ralph took advantage of the situation where literally he had more knowledge, but if it was a different context, it wouldn't have played out that way. There was something that held more rank. If I were to actually fought Ralph, I would have beat him every single time. But since he could get away with it because we had the pads on, Ralph is all like this. So I'm like, you know what? If this is a real fight, it'd be different. And he's like, it's the same thing, knowing damn well it's not. Is anybody going to disagree with Ralph when he just tapped me? No. But did I beat Rockstar? I beat Rockstar in a fist fight, and Rockstar actually tapped out, and Rockstar actually cracked Ben in football. It's crazy because literally fucking I prove it. Like, they're all different contexts, and if you go back to one of my sports videos, only one person said, one person out of the entire football team said, you know what, it's called technique. You can't punch in football. And this guy literally had a star drew in his hairline and everything. He was one of the most popular guys in school, and he let me know that once. He's like, you know why I'm not going to disagree with him? Well, I'm going to tell you to the side is because I will lose my spot, and they'll start treating me like how they start treating you. So I'm going to give you a little hint, and then I'm going to move on. Like, literally, so that is literally the couples reveal. So I talked to Justin because I started getting at Kayla, I started getting at Vicky and Kayla were both Justin's best friends. Justin is a, like, archetype, literally. But he used to drive my iPod to his side. He's like, you know, you spelled Jason Mraz wrong. It's not Jason Mraz, it's Jason Mars. It's over there. This literally fucking Justin was hella funny. Fucking, it was the countdown to football practice. He started from fucking 7. He's like 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7. It was so fucking nothing. But that was just a Wisemen. So that's really started off like our relationship, and he was pretty cool. I talked to him every lunchtime, and he was cool. He had the back when bands like really first started making graphics on their, you know, their laceless fucking shoes, their slippers and stuff. He used to have the blue flame bands and stuff. It used to be really crazy because he was the definition of really an archetype. Like, the problem with like him was what he did was he did a move in silence after I got with Alma, after I got with this, that. So all motherfucking Kayla being passed around like the school sluts, literally freaking, you know, all those boobs. There's always people trying to like touch Kayla's ass and stuff like that. But it's like, I looked at it and I didn't feel anything when I looked at that visual. I could tell like that she wasn't feeling anything. I could tell who she was really after. That vibe and everything just let me know that was all like Lily to make light of the situation that I could have got with both of them. So basically, Justin was really a nice person, but where it came down to it, he had to hide something from me, and he knew it wasn't my fault. And this is the whole point of Justin Wiseman. So there was this guy named Travis, and there was this really cool guy named Travis Lily. He acted like a bad fit, but he was too self-aware of everything. What Travis did was he drove me to the side the best way possible. Freshman year, they all told me that Lily, you know what's gonna happen is that you're gonna end up actually getting pussy, or we're gonna continue faking pussy, Lily, until Lily we actually never get it. It's literally what Travis told me, but he told me for a good reason because his big brother was a top tier troublemaker, I suppose. But what happened was this: Travis was really strong. He was just as strong as Oscar, and he really was like up there where it came to popularity. He is everything that I want to do. Like Lily, he went up to me freshman year. Lily called me on my MySpace plays. He's like, no, I don't like your music ears. It's because you like jazz. Jazz is like just ears. So one time, me and Ralph start play fighting. One time I actually square up for Travis. What Travis does is that he does this thing called the after image. If you don't know what the after image is, it's when you pretend to be in one place and then you skip to the next place. And but you do it so fast that the other person can't comprehend it. My brother did this one time to me in a fight, and what Travis did was he stepped to his side and he did the after image, or he choked me, and he was really strong. He bench 200 pounds, and I felt like my lungs collapsed. But he's small. While I'm looking up, literally, I have like blurry vision. I'm like, Travis, why the fuck did you almost kill me? Why the fuck did you almost choke me and shit? And then when I got older, when me and my brother had that fight a whole long time ago, and when he tried to make the excuse that he was drunk, he did the after image after I beat his ass. There was fucking knocks in his head and shit like Lily, this and that, and he's like, nigga, Lily. So he did the after image, and he literally started choking me. And Lily, and that is when I had the advantage the whole time. And so he's like, nigga, this and that. And you know what God said was, it was in my head. He's like, so she's willing to choke his own brother. That was an advanced form of fighting, and he wants to make the excuse that anybody who uses the after image in a fight is Lily. And he used that last minute too, Lily, when he was losing stamina and shit, and he tried to Lily do that. So guess what I did, Lily? When he finally let go of me, I took advantage of the fact that he felt sorry because he did complete the job. My brother was in the perfect position to choke me and basically end my lungs and stuff like that. But when he let go, say like, nigga, you think you're hard and this and that. I know you don't play sports. I know you had asthma and this and that. So he specifically choked me. So when he let go of me, I'm like, nigga. And then I knocked him on the fucking floor. Travis knew that was gonna happen, subconsciously and everything, because literally that's literally what happens. He could tell that I had no guidance. He could tell that I had a fake influence, because you know why? There was a guy that I hung out with earlier in the year that went through the same thing, that his older brother let him be himself, but Anthony was strong. Anthony was really strong. He was just as strong as Isaiah, but twice as tall. He told me, it's like, if Isaiah ever fucked with you, come to me. But he was kicked out of school, so that lets me know, like, everybody who fucked with me, everybody who had quality, like Alma, everybody like Craig, everybody who literally was like a really powerful figure got kicked out of that school. So Anthony wasn't even in that school. There was so much understanding with Anthony. There was this one time where Lily, I got caught smoking on school campus, and Lily, he's like, hey, you hang out with her? So Lily, so Anthony was in my contact list, and so Lily, I'm like, God, like, you know what? Just say it. Because I just had a really fun day with Anthony at the mall, and Lily freaking, I end up snitching on him. I feel so bad. Like, Lily, when I get out, I'm like, I'm really sorry, bro. He's like, it's all good. And Lily, because Anthony had some really heavy drugs on him. He had some acid on him. And so Lily, so when he said it was all good, you know what God said in my head when Anthony got caught up with that heavy drug? He's like, you see how he had that heavy ass drug and how you only do weed errors? That's why he understands. He's on that big shit, so he's not gonna trip. He knows you're a square. He's never gonna hold that against you. And that literally what God told me in the head. This is a beautiful story, because Lily, it taught me the real reason why, like, Lily, I was forced to stay in my high school when I shouldn't have. Anthony's brother was a rapper. When Lily, Anthony was a screamo punk fanatic. Not really punk rock fanatic, he was really a big hardcore apocalyptica fanatic. when I was with him. So Lily, Anthony was skinny and stuff like that, and his brother's a rapper, but then his brother holding it against him? No. His brother Lily let him know about the protection, and Anthony had his own little thing going on. And Lily, that was Lily, the worst part about it is like he made sure that Anthony was strong enough to be his own little form of a mini mob boss, so he wouldn't have trouble in school, but he didn't force him to go against his nature. So where does Justin come into this? So I tried talking to Justin after Lily. I tried too hard to fit in. So Lily, I text Vicky, you know, fucking, what are you doing after I grab her ass, after I pull her number, after this and that, and Vicky and Kayla happen to be Justin's first grade crush. So it really, really is a devastating story. This isn't something to sleep on. I really, really feel for Justin while I'm making this story. Well, I learned over time that when they say take it slow and all that, it's somewhat bullshit, but it's not. Sometimes you have to take it slow for your own safety. Like Lily, you have to evaluate if the girl's mentally stable, because she may want the dick now, but she may Lily go crazy later. So you have to understand, like Lily, I learned a whole lot about why they say take it slow and this and that. But after a while, once you actually do productive things, taking it slow and getting your girl food will be hand in hand once you have to stay, you know, daily routine, and once you literally don't put them on a pedestal. When you put your goals in the woman, that's when you take it slow, but not when you're a teenager outraged with hormones. And so I'm texting Vicky, and so I'm like, so what are you doing? And so Vicky is all like, well, eating a sandwich. And so I told her, keep eating so I can smack that fat ass. And there was this guy named Tavares who asked to borrow my phone because he wanted to text his friend and shit. And so he read that text message and his face fucking fell on the fucking floor. He lost his birthday before he read that shit. And so Justin drove me to the side. And so Justin Wisemen drove me to the side. Justin Wisemen drew me to the side. He's like, you know what? I was talking to Vicky last night, and she wants you to stop texting her like so much sexual stuff. And then like eventually he broke down into tongues. He's like, well, if this keeps up, then blah 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 blah. So basically, what happened is Justin told me from there on, then it's fucking defense mode, and you have to understand that. But at the time, I don't think about anything. So that shit is why it elevates, like literally me stealing Michael Pitt, me hiding Michael Pitt in my locker, me doing this and that. So literally, for all my Nas fans out there, this is very important. If you're a Nas video, I really, really, really need you to watch this shit. It's really, really, really a big deal, because this is a very big misconception that people have. Because what Justin tried to portray is the same reason why it doesn't matter if you know him from first grade or not. Because the way Justin felt is the same way my mom raised me. So Justin drove me to the side again when I had science class, and he's like, like Lily. So basically, he drove me to the side, and Justin Wiseman showed me that he was a really high version of diabetic. And so he showed me that he had to take insulin shots. And I'm like, whoa. And so Lily, he's like, so I'm thinking like, Lily, there's nothing special going on, because Uncle Jay has to take insulin shots. And Lily, that was really I felt really, really bad for him. But then the pictures were for that as well. Why he drive me to his side? Why did it? Then why did I go through 3 years of straight torture after freshman year? Was because of that scene right there. That scene showed me everything. Now I don't know if this is true. I heard that you can use insulin as a coping method if you can't do drugs. And Lily, he might have been doing a drug at the time, but I have no idea. But Lily, he made fun of me one time for being high and stuff like that. He's like, Eris, your feet are dragging, and you smell like toast, and you're high right now. But over time, that is a serious ass statement. That's a very serious scene. He basically drove me to the side, told me that he did heroin, all because of the fact that I got with his first grade and second grade crush. I crushed Justin's heart. I came over to his high school. Nobody fucking knew me, and automatically I have permission to fuck Vicky. I basically have permission to go out with Kayla. I have this and all the privileges that he's wanted ever since he was a little kid. I just get the face snap, and it tore his mind apart. And literally, I realized over time that that really, really hurt Justin. And now that I think about it, because literally, I think about his position, and I really, really hurt Justin. That wasn't cool. How I could have got Vicky, how I could have got Kayla, made me more conscious of what I do to people as a whole, and why I needed to stop macking, and why I needed to actually be a really, really, really good person in order, like, to literally stop all this. Because what I did was I stopped the natural flow of disturbance. Even though I didn't, what happened was this. They had a damn near future guaranteed until I came in and drove in natural selection, survival of the fucking fittest, destroyed their multiverse, basically. They had a multiverse theory going on, Lily, and like a future going on, but then I stopped it and I showed people why they're still human, why they still have hormones, why I got around grabbing Vicky's ass, why I left Justin in disturbance for all those years, and he kept on being quiet, and he kept on, like, Lily, being envious of me. And you know what was the worst part about it is? When he tried to tell me to stop texting Vicky, I could tell he was like scared of me in the fight. And I could tell if I would have kept on doing it, that he would have fought me, he wouldn't have been scared. But then I would have been like, yo, that is a really, really bad position. I was one of the best fighters in school. And what would have happened if I would have made Justin fight over something that he should have already let go? That's really, really, a really, really tough. This is a really tough spot. And now I think about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. I truly am sorry for what I did to him and what I did to so many other people. Because I was raised the exact same way. My mom told me, Ernest, these guys have been socializing ever since they're a little kid. You just stayed in junior high, and now you realize that people exist. You have to deal with the program, man. It's going to take some time for you to adapt. When actually, it's the exact opposite. If that was true, then I would have had so much success in freshman year. And now that I realize that there was so much funk in freshman year because of that. That's why so many people left my freshman year, because not just the way they were treating me, but how things work in general. These people knew each other since first and second grade. I already have permission to have sex with their kindergarten fantasies. It really, really, really hurt. And I'm like, you know what? What C says does hold weight, but it doesn't hold weight after all, because all the work I put in outweighed how much they knew them. And it really, really fucked up, but that doesn't mean that I deserve it. Because you know why? Because what I did was I did something completely cool, and I'm like, man, maybe I should be more alert. Because why didn't you tell me this and that? If you would have told me that, I would have stopped way sooner and stuff like that. That wasn't the point. I broke his heart. I broke everything when I did that. And do you want to know the secret behind that? It's not how long you've known somebody, it's what impact you made in their life. It doesn't matter if you spent more time with this person. You can literally have a motivational quote by a bum that's gonna last you way longer than any advice that your friend ever gave you. I've learned that over time, that it's not literally how much you know them, it's literally what impact they made in your life. If how long you know them actually outweighs survival of the fittest, if how long you know them actually outweighed survival of the finish, then I would like Livingstone more than Layla. Do you know how that's impossible? You know, because I've known Livingstone for way longer than Layla. Damn near a decade before Layla. And look at all this shit he has done. And look at what he turned into. That whole holding on to people from kindergarten is nothing more to Disney fantasy. I'm sorry, because what you have to learn about life is that life is cruel. Girls do have high standards. Girls do have ridiculous standards, but there are ways to adapt to them. That's why I became a minimalist, and I was still able to pull women that people still don't get sex with, even though they have multiple dinner dates, because they fail to arouse them. They fail to get their point across. They fail to literally establish romance. You have to understand that girls like things that are appealing. Girls like things that literally stand out to them, but they don't like it if you stay the same, if you don't change. Because I kept on adapting to hip-hop, because I kept improving as a person, is why I got so many women. But at the same time, you gotta think of it like this. Nerds, stop telling yourself that they're gonna be understanding and that they're literally going to adapt to your bullshit, and that they're gonna meet you halfway, and that they're literally gonna go with your program without you putting any effort to change yourself, without you doing this, that, without you being appealing. I'm sorry, but how real life goes, it doesn't matter if you're suicidal. The football game is more important to you. I'm sorry, nerds, but flat out plain simple, that's how life works. Look at what happened with Sabo versus Cat. If you haven't seen Sabo versus Cat, go back to the first season. You know how they always tell you want someone who you have something in common with? Sabo had way more in common with that, and the reason why Justin Wiseman is such the example for his video is because Sabo is a man of substance. Kingdom Hearts, advanced video games, not Ultimate Ninja Storm, because Ultimate Ninja Storm doesn't have too much substance. It has 3D mechanics, but it has limited gameplay, which is what makes it somewhat shit. Other people who play RuneScape and shit, RPGs, things that are gonna last long, things that you have to constantly make updates on, is literally why this generation got fucked, because Sabo plays games with substance, nothing but substance. Kingdom Hearts, freaking One Piece, The Legend of Zelda, but he couldn't relate to Cat because he failed to get her pussy wet. And I mean that shit. He was sexually appealing to her. It didn't matter if he had all those things in common with her. He fell flat for somebody who had way more sex appeal. But I was also way more discreet. Me and Cat both like a whole bunch of more animes, and even though his shit came with substance, it kept him on the hidden side. So that's the difference between a real nerd and me. A real nerd loves Super Smash Bros. Because there's a lot more possibilities, a lot more substance. And what substance is things that you can make debates off of. Style is how appealing it is. And that's why nerds kept on calling me gay. That is exactly why nerds kept on calling me gay, because all my games did come with enough substance to actually have live stream debates. You know, these nerds talk about One Piece for an hour and a half. Nothing that I have has that much substance. And that is what made me somewhat jealous of nerds, but they took advantage of the fact that literally it gave them no thing to go on. So now I understand how it feels to be a nerd. They have everything to keep their kid. What it is they have more material to work with, but that's what makes it more of a distraction. And so many people got caught up in Super Smash Bros. I recall the last Embedder, their own fucking archetype. And that's why Livingstone and everybody fell flat because of what Justin Wiseman did. He had so much in common with Cat, but because he failed to sexually arouse her, is the same reason why Justin literally felt so bad in high school. It's the same reason why so many people fall. And I'm gonna give you a big hint to that. There's a scientific reason why he didn't get a Cat versus that way he was portraying himself versus the way he was acting versus this and that. It's because it's the exact reason why you're not willing to hang around people who disagree with you. Is the exact reason why opposites attract. Because I'm willing, to hang out with somebody who has a different opinion than me and respect that opinion, it's the same reason why I had a better chance of getting a girl. It was because of that. Do you know how many times that Cat came to me saying that she had a better personality and that I wasn't trying? Saying that lately, she likes Bakugo and Bakugo is a favorite character. I'm like, okay, I got fucked up to Orochi and shit. Like, literally, you have to understand that. You see how I responded to that? You see how literally I didn't give it to her trap, how I didn't try to improve my style, how I didn't try to literally pick, unique characters, how I didn't try to make myself stand out because I already knew I was good. You have to understand that. You know how many times she tried to do that, but because it didn't work, she accepted it. Now, Sabo's the type to fight that shit 100%, and that is the reason why he fell. Because his substance got in the way of his reality. And that's not good. But that is a good thing to know the difference. It's because he has so much substance is why literally they were so multidimensional where it came to fooling me. It's because of that substance. Men and women are a yin-yang operation. You want to get with somebody who literally has different opinions for you, so it will be new, it will be fucking fresh and this and that. That's cringy shit I'm saying for now, but literally, there's a whole big side to those in that, and that's why opposites attract was because of Sabo versus Cat. Even though he had a lot more in common, he failed to arouse her, and it really, a whole bunch of people have failed this mistake. It's because of how much substance that his media gives him is the reason why he didn't have to face reality so soon. And it really fucking sucked, but I really feel bad for Justin. So if Justin's listening, I am very, very sorry. I didn't know you were keeping a secret for all that time. Literally, freaking Justin Wiseman's dream got destroyed. I stole the key, I imprinted Kayla, I did this and that, I did so much things that he knows ever since they were in first grade. And literally, if it mattered, if you were ever in first grade, then I would have picked Livingstone over Layla, which is impossible. That can never happen. You have to understand that because life moves on. And literally, what did it amount to? What did literally Livingstone amount to? You have to understand that, and that is the reason why Justin Wiseman is the archetype for the current generation. Everybody may be a Justin Wiseman, but that means they still have to push past their limits. He had a very good moral compass. This is a guy who literally shares the same ideals as Sabo, Livingstone, but he had the best moral compass, but it fell flat because of literally survival of the fittest in the meeting. And that really, really sucked. And I really, really felt bad for Justin. But this is the story of Justin Wiseman, The Confession.